Thank you, Esther. Hi, everyone. My name is Maureen Tanyai. I'm a gender specialist and was a volunteer with VWB at Mkuruaini Dairy Company here in Kenya. And I want to thank you for joining us to this webinar. We'll be looking at how promoting gender equality has impacted dairy production here in Kenya. I'll ask Laura to help me with sharing with the presentation, and then we will begin in a moment. Okay, so as I had mentioned, we're going to be looking at how gender equality is impacting dairy production here in Kenya. And the first thing we're going to look at is VWB's work on gender equality in dairy farming. We're also going to look at some of the impacts of gender equality on dairy production. We're going to look at some of the challenges as well as the recommendations that we have. So as we look at VWB's work, as Esther has mentioned, is that through the program, we're working to improve the economic and social well-being of the people, and this is particularly to the women and girls, and this is through the One Health, where we look at promoting the health of the animals, the human, and the environmental health. And we do this through offering trainings on nutrition, farm management, manure management, and other trainings that support in promoting animal health, human health, as well as environmental health. So as we do this, we are looking to ensure that we're able to promote gender equality. And this is by ensuring that both men and women have access and control, are able to participate, and are involved in decision-making. And being a society that is patriarchal, we know that the most disadvantaged are the women. So we're looking specifically to the women. And when it comes to access and control, the trainings that we're having in terms of knowledge and skills, are they able to access this? Are they able to implement this in their dairy production? When it comes to services that are offered by our partners that we're working with, are they able to access this? When it comes to income from milk sales, are they able to have access and control over this? When it comes to input and markets, are they able to access this? Next is participation. When it comes to trainings that we're having, are the women able to join us in these trainings? And then finally is involvement in decision making. So within the family, is the woman able to participate in the decisions that are being made within the family? Are they able to access the leadership positions within the dairy sector? And when it comes to dairy management, are they involved in some of the critical decision making that is involved in this area? So we're going to look at the impact that we've seen by ensuring that women have access and control, they're able to participate, and are also involved in decision making. In our next slide. And one of the impacts that we've seen is that we see an increase in women involvement in decision making. And this is through our engagements with the farmers, where we've had discussions on joint decision making for couple farmers. So working with small scale farmers, it means that the dairy production is being done within the household. So it means the man and the woman are involved in the care and management. And that's why we are encouraging for there to be joint decision making among the couples, because as we see, most of the power is held by the man. But if the woman is not let into making this decision, it affects their dairy production, and even it can affect their livelihoods. So the first area that we're looking into is financial management. And we see that in some households, and most women suffer from being involved in the labor, feeding the animal, taking care of the animal, milking. But when it comes to having or the earnings that come from milk sales, is the husband who has the control over this income. And we see by the woman not being involved in this financial management of this earning, one is that it might demotivate the woman to even try and improve her dairy work. This is because if she's putting in effort to look after the animals, but when it comes to the proceeds that get in terms of income, she's not seeing anything coming back to the dairy production itself, coming back to improve their household, coming back to taking care of their needs, then she will not be motivated to continue looking to improve their dairy work. So this is an area where we are encouraging couples to have joint financial management. Because also we see that we have cases where the woman will go and complain to the dairy company and say that I have been working on my animals, but when it comes to the earnings we are getting, the husband is able to get a hold of this, and all he does is engage in drug abuse and alcohol abuse, and therefore the family suffers poverty because the money that they should earn should come and improve their lives, meet their basic needs, but this is not happening. So we are encouraging couples to work together and the woman to be involved in financial management. This will, with the woman being involved, one, we know that the money will come back to the household. Since the woman having the care role, she'll bring back the finances to improve her house, her home, take care of their children's needs, and also in feeding the family. Another area where we are making discussion with the farmers is in dairy care and management, and having women involved in decision-making in the care and management of their dairy animals. So having, within the area, women are mostly involved in dairy production. Men are involved, yes, but a larger number of the participants or people involved are the women. And so with this, we find that when we have the training, so when it comes to the participation of this means that they are able to have this knowledge and skills that they should use to improve their dairy production. And so what we are trying to do is to encourage women to be involved. For example, we have cases where extension officers who work closely with the farmers, they've been able to have farm visits, and they go visit a farm, they'll find the woman at home, and because of maybe the drought season, they will advise her to sell 1 or 2 cows, and so that the feeds that are available and the fodder can be able to meet the needs of these 2 cows rather than a bigger number. But since the ownership is with the husband, she's not able to participate in this critical decision that can help improve their dairy production. And we've also had cases where with the same thing, an extension officer goes for a farm visit. She advises the woman to make changes, for example, to improve the cow comfort, to improve the cow stall. But they might even offer to make those changes, for example, change the neck rail. But the woman will say, I cannot allow you to do that. I have to wait for my husband. So we see that if the woman is not involved in this decision making, it means it might inhibit the full implementation of the knowledge and skills that will be available or is available to improve their dairy production. So in the photos we can see on our screens, on the left hand is one of the couples we are working with, and that is Ruth Kariti and her husband at a farm. And on our right side, we can see a picture which has 2 young professional volunteers. We also have a couple farmers, Stephen and Martha, and a gender specialist who was based in Meru. And when Stephen and Martha were asked about from the trainings of joint decision making for couple farmers, what are some of our feedback on that? And Mary mentioned that the trainings have empowered and enabled me to be more involved in decision making in our finances within the farm and in the household. So we can see that through these discussions and enabling women to be involved, it is helping empower the woman and helping her be able to have a voice and manage even the finances that she gets from dairy production. We're going to look at our next impact that we've been able to see. And the other thing that we've been able to see is empowerment of women. So through the program, working closely with the women and them having these trainings, we've seen economic empowerment. And on our left side, we can see one of our farmers who is Frida. And Frida has increased her milk production from 9 liters to 28 liters. And she says that since I was taught fodder management, I came home, put silage, and became intentional in fodder preservation. Before long, I started seeing an increase in production, and now I can laugh all the way to the bank. So with this, we can see that through the trainings, she has improved the production of liters or amount of milk that she's getting, and this has translated to an increase in income, and this in turn is a form of economic empowerment to the woman. And through this income, she has been able to make renovations to her home and be able to manage her home better. So we see that through our work in trying to help women be at the forefront and to support them have access, participate, and also be involved in decision making, we see that, and promoting gender equality, we see that the women are able to be economically empowered. On our right is a photo of Anne, who is a Community One Health champion. And Community One Health Champion is a program where farmers are picked out and they receive trainings on topics on One Health, which can help improve animal health, human health, as well as environmental health. And they after receiving these trainings, they work with other farmers, those around their neighborhoods, to spread these trainings and information. And so what we've done is, through the cohort program, we've ensured that 2/3 or the majority of those who are included in these programs are women. So these opportunities being given to women have opened doors for them to even access more opportunities. And for example, has been taken into a government program where she has been involved in another program where she also is trained and trains other farmers as a lead farmer. And not only that, she's also able to earn income from being involved by the government. So working with the women and giving women a chance, we see that it is opening more opportunities for them within the dairy sector. The other thing we see is social empowerment. So through having them engaging in or training other farmers, they improve their skills when it comes to training, and this also builds their self-confidence. So by giving these opportunities to women, we build their confidence, and this is a form of social empowerment to the woman that we see in the dairy sector. We're going to look at the next impact. And something else we've seen is that we've seen an improvement in livelihood. When it comes on our left, we can see a picture of a group of farmers. This is this kind of setup that farmers have when they're having trainings on, or having trainings on knowledge and skills to improve their dairy production. And specifically this group, they have gone further and started table banking, which is a savings and a group where they give out a certain amount of money, they can save it, and they can lend to each other. And Emily, who is at the front seated, is helping to manage this group's contribution activities. So by not only being a trainer of other farmers, she's also seen another opportunity where she's able to manage the records and the data from this table banking meeting. And from this, she charges a fee from the farmers or the participants of that group. And this also helps her earn an income, which is able to improve her livelihood. The other thing we see is that there is improvement in nutrition. So with women having the care roles within our society. They're involved in terms of looking at what will the family eat. And so we've encouraged women, especially, and farmers generally, to start up kitchen gardens, and they can use the manure that they get from production or dairy production and working with animals to help improve their kitchen gardens. And on our right, we can see a photo of one of the farmers who has been able to start up a kitchen garden. And with this, we see that there is improved nutrition within her family, and even she can sell this to her neighbors, and she can also earn an income. So dairy farming does not only generate cash income, but also ensures that having foodstuff that contribute to a balanced diet, which in turn leads to good nutrition and ending hunger. So now, next slide, we see another example of one of the farmers who is a small-scale farmer from Meru. With a gender specialist from was working in Meru, and from the training she has received, she has also seen an improvement in her farm. And this we see from feedback, asking her on feedback from the training she has received. She says that since I started selling milk to a shop owner in my area, I've been able to increase my income, which has helped me a lot. I've been consistent in my table banking contribution. Equally, I've been able to chip in paying my children's school fees, hence relieving the burden of my husband. And she also adds that nowadays my family enjoys better and more nutritious meals as the income can support my household food needs. So we see that through the program, and this program targeting especially women, it is able to improve their livelihoods in terms of educating their children, having money to provide food needs for their household. On our next slide, we are going to look at another impact that we've seen by trying to promote gender. And this is by working with the local partners. We've been able to formulate policies. One of the policy is gender policy, and the other one is sexual harassment policy. Now, this policy creates a sustainability that after the program ends, the company with the policy, it's a commitment to continually promote gender within their organization and within their work with the farmers. So the gender policy looks at ensuring that within the organization, there's equal pay for equal work for every employee, regardless of their gender. There is gender balance in terms of recruitment and promotion. They're able to take gender issues and identifying them and able to tackle them within their work in dairy. And also they are able to listen to the needs and the priorities of women and men within their work. So through these policies, they're able to have a commitment to continually promote gender within their organization and within the dairy sector. For the sexual harassment policy, it supports a safe working environment for everyone working within the organization and also the partners. So the sexual harassment includes the reporting procedures, the investigation procedure, the consequences. What are the consequences if someone is involved in sexual harassment? So having these guidelines is able to guide whenever there is sexual harassment, what is the procedure that is going to take place? So we've had trainings with the staff to disseminate this information of the policies that are being formulated and adopted within the company. And we've also had trainings on gender sensitivity within the workplace to increase their awareness and sensitivity on gender issues. And when we also worked with staff members and sought their feedback on this, one of the staff members said that the training on gender equality and sensitivity has been insightful. I've gotten to understand gender better, as well as the different types and forms of harassment, especially sexual harassment. I did not know about economic violence as a form of gender-based violence, but now I know. So through disseminating this information, through engaging through trainings on gender sensitivity and equality, and also trainings on gender-based violence, they've been able to understand what gender-based violence is, what are the forms of gender-based violence. And this creates a society and a people who are for and pro gender equality within the society. Also, we've had more feedback from the staff when it comes to sexual harassment. And one of them says that we got to know the company's sexual harassment. And through the training, we've learned about the reporting procedure. So for the sexual harassment, the company, prior to coming up with it, they had another sexual harassment. So what we did is made an improvement of what they had, but this information had not been shared with the staff. But now having this policy improved and sharing this information, the staff have gotten to know that they have a sexual harassment. This also creates security in them, knowing that within this company, I am guaranteed of a free and safe environment for me to work with. And they also know the reporting procedure. So in case someone feels that they've been harassed either sexually or any other form of harassment, they are able to know what reporting procedures I'm able to use to report the incidents. And so this has been one of the impact and one of the things that we've been able to do when we are promoting gender equality. We're going to look at the other impact that we've been able to see. And that is increase in gender sensitivity among the staff. And so through our trainings, we've mentioned that we've had trainings on gender sensitivity. We've had trainings on gender sensitivity within the workplace. So this has made the staff more aware about gender issues, how it affects them within the workplace, and how it affects the dairy sector. And one of the things that they have been able to do is, as extension officers who work closely with farmers, one of the things they have done is to try and but have time consideration when it comes to deciding what time they're going to offer this training. So knowing we are looking at women and having the care roles within the family. So it is important to ensure that the time works for them, that you do not stop them from performing their roles, but also they're able to access this training. So that is one thing that is being done, and also joint accounts. So as we've said is that some of the women are unable to access the proceeds or the earnings from milk sales. But with joint accounts, which is something that has been formed within the company, is that both the man and woman are able to see, with the joint accounts, they're able to be members of these accounts, and therefore if any earnings that they get, both of them are able to know this is what you've gotten this month. And so even when it comes to financial management, the woman also knows that this is what you've gotten this side, and now she can be involved in managing these finances. Also, they're able to go and withdraw this money. Maybe before, the accounts that were there, it's only the husband who could have access. But now with joint accounts, the woman can have access to this money as well as the man. So we see it with our trainings that we've done on gender and dairy. We've also had discussions with the extension officers, and some of the feedback that they've been giving us on these trainings is that this has made our work easier as extension officers. We now see couples working together. Therefore, the implementation of knowledge and skills to train farmers is more effective. So one of the things that we've really focused on is couple farming, whereby having these discussions that we've said that we are encouraging farmers to have joint decision making is where we're looking at, is it better for the man to be in charge of making all the decision, or is it better that the woman is involved in this? And this information that she gets from the training, it means that it has the same value that if this information is given to a man. And therefore, when she brings forth this information, maybe within the family, to discuss, we should do this and this. So having them work together means that they won't be divided in terms of what to do next. They will sit down, agree, this is what we should do. The woman opinions and values and ideas will be valued. And therefore, it means that the implementation of this knowledge and skills is more effective within their dairy production. Next, we are going to look at the challenges and some of the recommendations that we have in terms of when we're trying to promote gender within dairy farming. And one of the challenges that we experience is culture. So within the society, there are different roles, gender roles, and expectation and norms. And so gender issues or gender, when you're trying to have discussions around gender, it can be very sensitive because, for example, with the man having the power and you're trying to empower the woman, then they might feel threatened. They might feel like you're trying to make their wives hard-headed, or you're trying to, overturn the rule and the woman to be saying making all the decision and saying everything. But so understanding the culture and trying to bring men on board. And that's why one of the recommendations we are saying is that engaging women in this conversation is very important, because when they know that empowerment of the woman is not to their disadvantage, but it is to their advantage, first when it comes to their dairy production. If they are able to, if the woman is empowered and she can use the information that she has to improve the dairy without necessarily relying on the husband to say yes or no, then it means that dairy production will be better. So engaging men in this conversation is very important so that they can be in support of this conversation that we are doing and the empowerment of the woman. The other recommendation that we have is periodic evaluation of the impact of gender in dairy farming. So it is important to look at within the strategies that you've laid out, within the plans that you've made out to try and integrate and promote gender equality, looking at them periodically, evaluating whether this is working, what needs to be changed is very important, so that by the end of the program, you can have successful stories and you can have a community that is more supportive of gender equality and gender equal society. The other thing is encouraging unity in decision making. This has this is something that we've really also focused on. As you said, we want men and women to work together. We want men and women to be involved in financial management. We want them to be involved in decision making in terms of dairy. So encouraging the unity in decision making also supports or creates an environment where there is no retaliation, where it's not one gender against the other, but it's two genders working together to see that their work in dairy production is successful. So this is what VWB has been doing in terms of trying to promote gender equality in dairy production, and therefore ensuring that the woman is fully involved in dairy production and also has the full benefits from engaging in dairy production. So on our next slide, we are open to a session of Q&A. Feel free to ask any questions and we'll be glad to answer. Back to you, Laura.
Thank you so much, Maureen, for sharing that. That was very, very insightful. And I'm sure a lot of our audience members also learned a ton. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and the slides at this moment and move us back to being live with you and sharing our videos. And I encourage everyone and remind you to please use the Q&A button, which is in the bar at the bottom of your screen, to write any questions that you may have for myself or Maureen or for Esther. So Maureen, I think we can start with this one, and Esther, feel free to chime in as well. But how are the women and families identified, or the beneficiaries, to take part in this training?
So with VWB working with the local partners is a dairy company, and they are working closely with the farmers, because this is where they get the farmers take their milk for sale. So they have a very direct connection to these farmers. So through working with the local partners, we're able to reach and engage with the beneficiaries and small-scale farmers.
That's great. That's great. Thanks so much, Maureen. Are there any barriers, such as literacy levels, that differently affect men and women's abilities to benefit from trainings?
So working with the local community, the group is within the ethnic group of the Kikuyu, but we can say that no one is unable to access these trainings, because even when we are working with young professional volunteers from Canada, we have translators who are who use the same language as the farmers. So this information is able to reach them regardless of the difference in languages. This information is able to reach the farmers.
That's great. Thanks so much for that, Maureen. Can you just speak to the importance of couples farming and why that matters? Like, what is the advantage of having successful couples farming?
So as I had mentioned earlier, that gender issues, or the conversation around gender, can be very sensitive. And so if we look into, we are just working with women and having them engaged in these trainings, we will see more like it will not be acceptable within the society. But encouraging it as couple farmers, both the man and the woman will get these trainings. And within it, we can see that the woman is able to benefit from that. She's able to gain these skills, and her being mostly involved in the dairy farming, she's able to be empowered in terms of trainings, in terms of getting these positions that would normally go to the men. So encouraging couple farmers is one of the ways we are trying to ensure that the topic on empowerment of women is more agreed to, and not that there's a trying to put one aside than the other. So I think the end goal of gender equality, or promoting gender equality, is to ensure that everyone, either you're a man or a woman, you're able to reach to your full potential. So if you just work with the women alone, then means then you're leaving behind the men out of this. But what we want is for both of them, either the man and the woman, be involved in this and work together to improve their daily work.
Great. That's great. Thanks so much, Maureen, for clarifying that. Have you worked with families where perhaps the training it took a little while for the training to be implemented, or for it to be seen as advantageous for women in the families?
So maybe I can try and get your question. Is it on the trying to empower the woman, or is it just basic or the normal knowledge and skills and trainings on nutrition, farm management?
Yeah, I think the question is, when you are doing your training, has it been a challenge at all for it to be received by beneficiaries, or is it generally pretty well received?
So for my focus, mainly I've been engaging the farmers in this discussion where we identify the gender issues and looking at the relations between couple farmers and encouraging them to work together. So from my experience, one of the things I've tried to do is take into consideration the culture and trying to have the farmers to identify with these gender issues, whereby they, at the long run, they'll be able to themselves identify these gender issues. A farmer will say, yes, and it's true, sometimes if I'm the only one who is involved in the earnings from the milk sales, then even if I go somewhere, the woman will not be interested in taking care of the animal because she sees no proceeds from this. So from what I've experienced during my time volunteering is that we've seen quite good acceptance of this information on gender, and seeing that the farmers are themselves able to identify these gender issues. So I can say that the message is being taken in well, and hopefully within time, because gender is not an instant, something that you can see instantly, we are going to see some of the changes happen within the community.
That's great. Also, thanks so much. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Laura and Maureen. If I may chime in one of the other partners that we were working with, one of the things the volunteers ensured they did, plus the local staff, is that they identified couples that are already working together. So when you encounter people in the community or men in the community that are not really buying into having to work together as couples, then you'd bring on board these couples to come and address the community. And from the members having heard from one of their own, it becomes easier to bring in the concept of adoption.
Right. That's a great point, Esther. That makes a lot of sense. Do we have this is another question from our Q&A. Do we have a sense of how many couples have been involved in the gender training initiatives?
So mentioning getting to know like a certain number, I may not have that, but working with the farmers, and as you said, working with households, like small scale farmers, small scale dairy farming is done within the household. So it means that any small scale farmer you reach to, mostly they're working as a couple. So we'd say that most of the farmers who are working with are people who are working as couples. And so our target group, or the farmers we are reaching out to, mostly are couple farmers. And even though they might not be able to come as couples for our trainings,
Maureen, I'm not sure if you can hear me still or see us, but you've frozen. Oh, you're back. You're back. Okay. I think just to reiterate, I believe to sort of paraphrase what Maureen was saying, that a lot of the people we are working with are in couples, so it would be mainly everyone we're working with. Are most of the farmers that we would be working with members of the local co-ops and the dairy companies?
Esther, I don't know whether you want to answer on that.
Yes. With Wakulima Dairy, they serve about 10,000 farmers, and with Meru Dairy, they have a reach of about 80,000 farmers.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for that, Esther. Question here about what is table banking? Does anyone want to clarify that one?
Well, table banking is more like we call them the village loan associations, where people come together, like maybe a group of 10 or 20 people come together. They make contributions either on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis. Then they have a treasurer among themselves who does the accounting for them. And it's more like they have a full structure. They have a chairperson, they have a treasurer, they have a secretary, and they have the bylaws, local bylaws, not anything that might be written down unless they're big enough to be taken in by a bank. Then once they meet either on a weekly basis, if you fail to meet, then if you fail to attend the meeting, you are fined for it. If you if you attend the meeting or you fail to, let's say, for instance, give your contribution and fail to indicate on time, your contribution will be coming in late, then you are given a fine for the same. But the good thing is that because the people know each other, they're able to loan one another and give each other small amounts of money that may not be really given as a loan by the bank or by the formal financial institutions. So it is more like a village method of financial management, and also a small financial institution where they just meet and agree, this is how much we'll be contributing, this is how much we can give, the maximum that we can give as a loan in case you have, depending on the amount of money that you have contributed, and also depending on the total amount in the kitty. So such that if the kitty, let's say, has like 1,000 USD, you cannot come and ask for more than 1,000, and you cannot ask for more than 50%. It has to be an amount that is easier for you to repay back, and then you pay at a very small interest. That way the kitty keeps growing, but also other members are able to borrow. The other thing about the table banking is that people also hold each other accountable, such that you can't just be a member and fail to borrow something. So you have to borrow the money and you have to prove that you're doing it for something that is worthwhile, and the other members will also hold you accountable to it. So it also becomes like a method of self-development, and mostly among women.
Thank you so much, Esther. Another question here regarding how we measure the success of our training. And I'm going to sort of combine two questions. One being if we're measuring assessment of local human health as part of that measurement of success. Any thoughts on that? How we're measuring success for the training?
Maureen, you'd like to go in first?
Maybe I'd want to try and understand the question better. Is it in regards to looking at the One Health concept, or?
Yeah, so it could be in regards to either the improved animal, environmental, or human health, but just sort of how we're measuring how well a program or training is doing within the community, and then beyond that, if there is a way we're measuring human health, as an example, you know, if there's an increase in milk production, perhaps that's providing more nutrition for families and communities.
So we have evaluations that are done and assessment, where we have quantitative assessment and also qualitative. So we go back to the farmers, and using certain indicators and questions, we get to learn what are some of the changes that have happened. And so through this method on quantitative and qualitative assessment, then we're able to get the data and the changes we've been able to see from our work within the program.
That's great. Thanks for that, Maureen. We are getting, I see we're just past 51 minutes past the hour. So I'm going to take one more question here. And again, thank everybody so much for joining us today, and encourage you, if you want more information or want to chat more with either myself or Esther or Maureen, to reach out to us at info@vetswithoutborders.ca. So for our final question here, in your experience doing the training, is access to animal health gendered at all? Meaning, and I believe that this question is asking if people are seeking animal health care, is that at all impacted by gender?
Not really. Experience to animal health is not really gendered per se, but it is not that men have more access to cows and women, but it's just that with the culture that we are in here in Kenya, you'll find that big animals are owned by the man and small animals are owned by the woman. So you'll find the man controls how many cows can we buy, what cow can we sell, what are the proceeds that are coming from the milk, is this venture profitable or not? But when it comes to the small animals like chicken, goats, and sheep and rabbits, then women can manage that. So we are just trying to build now the gender lens for the men to see the importance of engaging the women in the dairy sector, particularly working with the cows.
Maybe to add on that is that with the local partners that we're working with, they are open to working with all genders. So whether it's a woman seeking the services, whether it's veterinary services, extension services, or is it or be it a man, no one is discriminated against. So either you are a man or a woman, you are able to access these services.
That's great. Thank you so much for that, Esther and Maureen. I think that's where we're going to end our Q&A. So thank you so much to Maureen and to Esther for our presentation today. Very, very informative. I just want to remind everybody that if they go to vetswithoutborders.ca, you'll be able to find more information about our programs. We are doing gender responsive work across 6 countries worldwide, including Kenya, Ghana, Senegal, Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam. And you can find out more about that on our site, as well as if you're interested in becoming a volunteer, there's lots of opportunities, including some in Kenya. So please do have a look and reach out to us if you have questions about volunteering. Otherwise, thank you very, very much for being here, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your days.
Thank you.